This is Dr. Sprouls again. I'm here to try to inspire you with a story about miracles. Actually, people ask me if I see miracles, and I see them often. What I can say about them is they're usually not what we're asking for, but they happen all the time. And recognizing them and the growth and the beautiful things that happen to people are things that you just have to wait for. One of the miracles that I observed involves a young man. He was a big man. He was 6'10". He was big enough to play basketball. He wasn't that coordinated, so he was playing for the University of North Dakota, if you know what I mean. His parents were big. His mother was 6'3". She's taller than me. His father was about 6'9", way tall. What a big bunch of people. Well, this man had an unusual disease known as histiocytosis X. These are little tumors that grow in your bones. If you get to them with some radiation therapy, you can stop them in their tracks, and it only takes a couple of weeks of daily radiation therapy to stop histiocytosis X. Well, one day he ignored his back pain long enough that it paralyzed him, and he couldn't stand up or walk again. Well, he lost his scholarship and had to move back to Titusville, where he grew up. There, Dr. Levine called his friends at the National Cancer Institute, and they told him that they didn't know of a treatment that would really work, but what they were using was this particular combination. So Dr. Levine gave it to him, and it not only worked, but his histiocytosis X went away forever and never came back. Unfortunately, he was still paralyzed, and he was in pain. And after he couldn't get enough prescription narcotics, he started turning to illegal drugs and became involved in the local drug scene to the point where he killed a man. He was then sent to prison. In prison, he found God and began to believe in Jesus. As you know, it's really the annex. It's the workshop for Jesus, because by the time you get to jail, you're really ready to listen. When he got out, he was still paralyzed, and when he came back to the practice, and I was the new doctor, they gave him to me. I got to know this man pretty well because he later had Loeffler's eosinophilia, another condition we had to cure that saved his life. He asked me, will I ever walk again? And I asked him, how long have you been paralyzed? It had been about 7 years. He could wiggle one toe. He really couldn't do anything with the lower part of his body. I sent him to the MRI scanner, and you could see where the bone fragments from his spine crushed the spinal cord. I mean, it was completely destroyed. I sent him to the neurologist. The neurologist tested him, and his nerves were dead. The neurologist said, I don't think he'll ever walk again. I mean, I can't guarantee it, but I don't think he'll walk. A couple of years later, Judy, my secretary, comes running up to me and says, Dr. Sprouls, there's a man in the lobby, and he insists upon having his records right now. I turned around, and standing behind Judy was this man. I didn't recognize him. He was so big. When he was in the wheelchair, we were on eye level. When he was standing up, the man was a giant. His head nearly touched the ceiling in our office. And I said, you can walk. The man said, I know. I said, it's a miracle. He says, yes, God has made me walk again. I said, why did he choose you? He says, I don't have any idea. But I want my records because I'm moving to Arizona with my girlfriend today. I never saw him again. But I did see the paralyzed walk. These kinds of miracles do happen. They may not happen the way you want them to, or happen for the way you're praying for them, but be prepared for miracles. They happen all the time.